Hey guys, my name is Rob Sheridan, and I'm hosting another conversation of Neil Stevens. In fact, it's episode 28, right, Neil?
Yeah, good.
28.
Yeah, sorry about the technical glitch there. We just we're 13 minutes behind schedule because we lost the
live,
sound.
isn't it?
Okay, Neil. So we've got a call in here, and if you want to call in and have a respectful conversation with my friend Tony and Nat, okay, because they're very respectful people, just dial this number, and we'll take your call and go from there. Okay. Thanks very much, guys. Neil, anything to add there?
Yeah, remember, this is open to anybody who wants to come on the show. I've got a few people we're inviting over the next few weeks, but anybody wants to come on the show, as long as you're respectful, we have a decent conversation, it'd be brilliant to hear from anybody who wants to participate.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Neil. And who's our sponsor tonight, if you don't mind?
Well, we're still promoting Paul from Heart Pet Supplies. He is being a legend. His business is getting better. I'm taking my mother out on Saturday because she's got a little dog and she wants to buy some dog food and she wants to taste the breakfast, and we'll take a granddaughter as well. So anybody wants to come out there, I'll be there about 9 o'clock. Who wants to come down, and you're quite welcome to have a chat with us.
That's great. Thank you very much. And guess what? I forgot to actually tell the audience who's on our podcast tonight. And so we have our famous Tony Stevens.
Well, thank you very much, Rob.
And Tony's a counselor from...
St. Thomas next week, Rob.
Fantastic. You passed. Happy New Year. And then Neil Stevens, counselor, another counselor.
Yeah, Alfred and Carrick. Happy New Year, guys.
And sir with the hat.
Happy New Year from the Broadcliff division.
Okay, and
Back
you
by
are?
popular request.
You are Nat Vanstone. Yeah?
Yeah, no, I think that
Well,
last time...
I think the last time I looked, I was, but...
you also had your bow tie on, didn't you? And brilliant.
Yeah.
So a little mojo music for you guys. Anyway, so let's see. Let's talk about what we're doing here. And
Where's he find these sounds?
Sounds like someone out of Minder.
You can't turn it off, can you? But anyway, we've had a good break over Christmas, 2 weeks off. Haven't done a lot of things, but we're back on track now. So this is going to be quite a comical
How many
thing.
buttons we got?
Can you get it off, Rob?
Serves you right for pressing that button.
He can't turn the music off
Oh,
now.
there we go.
everybody's grooving
Don't
tonight.
press that button again,
Happy
Rob.
New Year, everybody. And hey, by the way, I forgot to tell the audience what Neil and Tony gave me for my Christmas present. Right?
Oh, yeah. We put a lot of thought into it, Rob.
Yeah. I got a little free weed box here and a big liter container of Roundup with
And a lovely big
environmentally
pair of
friendly
gloves,
weed
look.
killer, yeah. Anyway, so Neil, kick it off. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Yep, okay, we're trying to keep it local action again. You know, it's all right talking about it, right? We're looking at the people. We've looked at this over the last couple of weeks, real people and real local work. So we're going to start a bit differently this time. Nat's going to start off, or Tony is first, and then I'll end up
Do you want
at
to
the
go
end.
first, Nat?
You can go first, Tony.
All right, I'll start the ball rolling. Look, I've got a couple of things, really. I mean, Merivale Road, I think everybody in the area apparently has had a letter to say, surprisingly enough, it's been delayed slightly, but it will go ahead, I've been assured. Carrick Street, looking a bit of a mess where there's been a lot of frost that's blown out the road. They've told me that it gets monitored every month and any major potholes and that will be repaired. And the community payback team, I've still got them.
Yeah, I'm
Not
still
from
trying to grab them.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just wait your turn. They're still out there working, and I appreciate everything they've done. So thanks a lot to all of you, and a happy New Year to them.
That's super. Thank you very much, Tony. Hey, we're going to flip this over to Nat. Tell us some great things about what you've been up to, Nat. please.
Well, I mean, great could be debated, but before Christmas, I visited a couple of areas in my area. One being Exeter Athletic Rugby Club. They've got massive problems with surface water runoff going onto the pitches, car park, making the pitches unplayable. I sent all that in to highways or neighbourhood highways officer. I've not had an update. I've not looked at my laptop today, although I sent a reminder email yesterday, so it may have hit my inbox today. But obviously that's an ongoing thing. And since Christmas and this cold weather, I've had a lot of requests for extra salt and grit bins. Sadly, it's down to the council to supply them, or the parish council. So the requests have been sent to both, or to all that needs to be sent to. But what I'm hearing is we're getting replies, or councillors are getting replies to use your locality budget for it, which our locality budgets are not for.
No, it's not for that.
So bear with us. We will keep the pressure on and try and get you these bins to make your lives safe as it should be. All right. And Happy New Year to you all.
Oh, there, I'll get that bit in.
Hey, Neil, do you think I could do an applause? Sir?
No applause. Right, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
Right, so it's my turn.
Don't press the button.
I've had the best 2 weeks for my Christmas I've ever done. Every Christmas is, I'm grateful to be here, actually. But grandchildren, my children, we've had an excellent time. My wife has spoilt me. All right, she has spoilt me. And Sunday evening, we were both saying, why do we have to go back to work? But we do. So we're all back to work now, and all my emails are coming in. I'm answering emails. Just to update you, tomorrow I go down to meet Peter at Stagecoach. I'm taking a couple people down with me in order to speak to them. I'm meeting highways regarding Chudley Road, the Barrett's entrances. All the pavements are not working correctly. They've all stopped, so it doesn't all work. I've been up there, took photographs, meeting highways, like I said, and some of the vegetation is going to be chopped back over the next few weeks. A lot of things going on in the background. We'll talk about that as we go through the show. This basically is, I want some feedback from people now. We've got slides on it. It's new to us. I don't want it to be a slideshow all the time, right? If you think we can just do a conversation as we are now, then I want some really good input on this. So any ideas to make it a bit more slicker, a bit more funnier, please bring it on.
Bit like playing the music for a slightly longer time than expected.
Yeah,
Finding the right button.
Remember, we have technical issues, but we get over it. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah. Thanks, Neil. Well, we were out doing some fun things about 4 or 5 days ago, right, Neil? And you want to tell everybody what we're doing there?
Yeah, that was very interesting. I was cuddling up to my wife, really cuddling up to it, and Rob goes, I haven't spoke to Rob for about 5 or 6 days. I sent him a lovely message wishing him
Rob withdrawal symptom.
Wishing him a good holiday. Next minute, he rings me up. He said, "I'm going to do some weeds." I'm cuddled up to the wife. It's about 3:30 on I think whatever afternoon, and I said to my wife, "Well, I can't just let him do weeds." So Rob and I went out and we cleared some weeds by the Alphington Road, where the weeds were about 4 foot high, and that doesn't give it a prime example there. Because when we were riding our bike round the corner, it could knock you off. So we were doing the weeds. So that's our start of the new year. We're going to try and do a bit of weeding every week.
Yeah, no, just to add to that, I was the instigator, Neil. Sorry about that. Sorry, Donna. But anyway, no, this is an area that if you all drive by Alphington Road, you go into the train underpass.
Yeah,
or
the railway bridge.
Whatever, near the tire shop. And last year in August, I cleared all the weeds. It was looking pristine. The drain was cleared. And lo and behold, when I went down there a couple months ago, it was all, and the water was ponding. Everybody's moaning about the ponding of the water and all that. Well, partially because the weeds are growing up, and it really impacts the drainage. So hats off to Neil for going his Christmas.
Well, it is, and like Tony said, the payback team are working. We still have not given up about the weed control. I'm going to speak to Audit in the next couple of weeks regarding trying to find some money. They said there's no money, but I was guided that if we speak to them, they might be able to find some money. So it's
finding an alternative way to get rid of them.
It's a headache.
Without using.
As the conversation comes tonight, we'll be free flowing in a minute.
I'd like to give a little hats off to one of the senior people in the Exeter City, works for the Exeter City Council, who's given me some information about the status of this motion that was put forward years ago, and whether they have a Plan B, had a Plan B, and we'll be giving some update on that in the coming week.
Okay, let's get into it, the conversation.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. So we're going to talk about small things matter, basically, is what you're insinuating, Neil, right?
Yeah, right, small actions matter. And we're looking at helping neighbours, right? We've got the cold weather coming in. We've got winds, rains, and somewhere in your road, somewhere maybe your neighbour, there'll be an elderly person or elderly couple who basically needs some form of support. So check-ins, what we're asking for, you know, you just need to look at the neighbour, see if they need any help.
Yeah,
Nat, you come across this all the
e-
time.
Even if it means putting the bins out, or
You know, just a call in, just to say hello. You know, they might not need anything, but to just show that you're there, and if they do need something desperately, you can go and help them, or you know, it lightens the load. If they don't have to come out in the cold and put their bins out and risk slipping over, you know, just something nice and kind, you know, a bit of kindness, and thoughtfulness as well.
speaking of thoughtfulness and elderly neighbours, somebody did bring it up the other day that people washing their cars during the freezing weather and then leaving it to freeze. And
Your camera's there, Tony.
I think one of the elderly neighbours did actually slip up on the ice that was created after they washed their cars. So just be thoughtful.
Yeah. So what the message for tonight is, because it's not all about politics, is if you've got neighbours, elderly, or anybody really, loneliness is happening more and more. You know, let's check on our neighbours, make sure they're okay, and support them. And if you do that, you actually feel good, actually, helping people out. I used to take puzzles around to old people. That was to help my mother out, and then sit and chat to them. And if you have time, sit and chat, have a cup of tea with them.
Yeah, and maybe just add Neil's, you know, it's kind of fact of life that most people that are married will lose someone, you know, one of their partner, their best friend, I guess you might
And my
say.
wife's been trying to lose me for years.
And it happens a lot when you're quite a bit older and you're sort of vulnerable in different ways, right? And it might have been that your partner did all the paying of the bills and.
Well, if I
you're-
lost my
right?
wife, I'd be knackered because she does all my cooking and cleaning for me.
Well, exactly. So no, seriously, you'd be suffering because you live in a house that really wasn't too good. Your brother would knock on your door and he'd say, "Hey, Tony, you're really missing your wife."
I'd be knocking
because,
on his door saying, "Can
your
you
house
feed
looks like
me?"
SHI. Anyway,
I don't-
so just a thought, guys.
I don't think it is all necessarily just elderly people. It could be anybody, and sometimes people don't want to say they're having a hard time or whatever. So even just that icebreaker where you've gone in this, "Are you okay?" And sometimes people that are struggling with stuff, it gives them an avenue to talk to you, and open up a little bit about their.
I find it now,
their
though,
problems.
with neighbours. I know some of my neighbours around my area, but there's a lot of people who you don't know. Whereas it used to be a time you'd know a lot of the people in the street, and you would help each other out.
Well, the road I live in is very, very a brilliant road. They all get together at Christmas. They all have window decorations, and sometimes they have street parties. You know, when something we have to, you know, like jubilees and things like that. So I'm very lucky how we live in this road.
Well, funnily enough, with this icy weather, I heard an accident out on our road,
Yeah.
and it sounded like a tractor crashing, but it wasn't. I walked out onto the road and then slid across the road, and it's a motorbiker. He'd fallen off his motorbike and looked a bit dazed. So I give him a shout and I said, "Look, come and put your bike safe in here because the car's likely to come around the corner and take you out." And just little things like that. Just, you know, I could have just left it and not gone out and got involved, but I think he appreciated it anyways, and off he went, and hopefully he didn't scat off again. But little acts of kindness help.
Okay, thanks very much. That was a good conversation. And sort of along those lines, we wanted to maybe just talk a little bit about respecting different people's shared spaces, what we call shared spaces, which are really, spaces, public areas, which we all use. Neil, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, about a week into December, a lady called Jane wrote to me regarding people allowing their dogs to mess on the pavements and around schools. So we generated a letter to Exeter City Council, had a really good reply. It was brought up again on Spot in Alphington. The lady, I asked her to private message me, and I will send her the draft or the letter I sent and the reply I got. Exeter City Council were very proactive. They have been out, as in putting the signs up and spraying stencils on the pavements, and it's been an issue, and it's an issue around my area as well. So what are we talking about? Education, because they don't. Going back to it, they don't used to be able to get fined. Used to have park people go around, and if you get caught, you get fined, which I totally agree with. If you get caught, you should get fined. So, but going back to it, we need to educate people. And there is a lady who actually walks around my road who's got a long-haired Alsatian. It's been caught on camera. It's been on the internet. You know, she hasn't got that dog on the lead. The dog goes into people's garden and it poos everywhere. Right, so we have to educate people now. So I used to have 2 big dogs, and you always go out your bags and you always keep your eye on them. So education, there's nothing worse in stepping in dog's poo, or or a child walks out of a car, steps in the dog poo, and then walks it in your house. I've had it many a time, and I could tell you a story.
I think we all have on that one, yeah.
It's disgusting, and there's no excuse not for it not to be picked up.
You're
especially if it's
responsible for it as well.
You know, in public places, and certainly not in somebody else's garden. I mean,
well, I got to tell a story which I'm not very proud of, but
oh no,
so I tell him a story.
I wouldn't tell him that one. No.
Okay, so I was in the van working outside my mother's house when I was very young, and
I hope you've not got any food.
Not
in
telling
your,
that story.
Don't.
right
don't
on
have
TV.
any
Anyway, no. So anyway, I seen this dog and the owner, and I thought, what are they doing? Stood around my big, massive gates in my parents' house. And when I come around the van, there's a big pile of poo on the floor. And I said to the gentleman, "Excuse me, sir, your dog's just pooed." Now, remember, this is not going to do anything for anybody, and you're going to think really bad of me. Anyway, the gentleman walked away and shrugged his shoulders, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you mind picking your poo up?" And I was a very young soldier then, and the guy had a white shirt on. So I decided to scoop the poo up, and I threw it at him, and it was brilliant. It hit him right in the back of his shirt.
Anyone having some food now?
No, I'm sorry about this. I'm telling you a story. Anyway, the gentleman come back, and I said, "It's your poo, so you might as well take it." Anyway, he turned away, and he walked away. 10, 15 years later, we still say hello to each other. All right, so obviously...
Does he still have that shirt?
I don't know, but he has another dog.
I bet he went and bought some dog food bags.
I don't know. So I'm not saying... I must stress, guys, don't go picking up poo and throwing it at each other.
Don't go picking up poo and throwing it at people.
Because you get done for
Unless
assault.
you're 100%
But
sure.
education, guys, if you see people not picking up the poo,
And that
please
was Neil
educate 'em.
educating somebody.
Well, yeah, that's it, yeah. So that's my story.
Yeah.
I think
me.
it happens everywhere. I mean, we
Well,
watch them park up. You know, people, dog walkers, they park up, take their dogs out, walk them 10 yards down the road, and they
Well, you have
empty
it
out.
quite a lot down your area, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just don't see why you just don't pick up dog poo.
Take it with
Yeah, but I could tell you another story.
you. Oh.
I don't own a dog, but my children own a dog. So my son owns a dog. My 2 daughters own another dogs, and I'm picking up dog poo in my own garden, and they've even pooed in my bird cage the other day. Yeah, which I've got to pick up. And I don't even own a dog. That's, by the way, the message to the kids is pick up your own dog poo.
Okay, Neil. So we've got a couple of messages coming in, and one of them was a question for you all. Who's responsible for cleaning the road signs? For example, on the A377, there's
That'd be highways.
Highways.
Yeah, filthy.
Yeah,
So what
highways.
does that mean, highways?
Highways is
Is
Devon
that
County
Exeter City
Council. There we go.
Or what?
If you've got a sign specifically, because there's loads around, and I'm not telling you to stop anywhere, you've got to specifically designate that area. What 3 words? If you don't know what that is, go on to the internet. That'll explain what it is. But if you have a sign you're particularly not happy with, you can report it to Nat, myself, whatever, or you go on the Devon webpage, highways, and you report it. But they will need a location. But that doesn't mean you
I
stop.
think a lot of them now do use what 3 words.
Yeah, but you've got to be in the exact position. So if you're on a motorway, you're not going to, that's an example, by the way, you're not going to stop to get what 3 words.
Yeah, but I think maybe the point is that he's trying to make, which I think is valid, is if you go around, I'll give you another example, okay? If you're going up Western Way, I think it is. What is that? The road that goes up the hill?
Western Way,
Yeah,
you've got
in a
and then you,
bypass.
graffiti on the back of the signs you're on about.
Oh no, well maybe that too, but more fundamentally, if you take a right on a Topsham Road, okay, as soon as you get on Topsham Road, there's a sign there, and it's absolutely filthy with, you know, algae all over it, and that's not the only sign. There are signs all over the place, and I think that's probably Devon County Council's responsibility, the highways, and I guess maybe what would be helpful is to find out what sort of cleaning regime they do have, because obviously it's failing, right?
I've got to say, I've never ever seen them cleaning signs, but I think they just wait for the weather to do
Well,
that.
I mean, in
Well,
our, I mean,
let's-
in
I
let's
might
get an
be wrong.
answer. So
I've
the
never
conclusion
personally
is, Rob,
seen
you've
it.
asked a question and we haven't given you an answer.
Yeah.
So the answer is we will give you the answer when we find out next Thursday.
Okay, thanks a lot.
That's not a political answer either.
Yeah, and
No comment.
I think we all should recognize it's a very similar situation with the Exeter City Council as, and for example, the weeds. A lot of these, whether it's Devon County Council or Exeter City Council, they've been asked to cut back their funding for their core services and redeploy the funding onto different areas. And so therefore, you know, there isn't enough to, you know, do the fundamental core services.
So I think we have a problem with the sound. So whether we can turn it up, Rob. So thanks for somebody's letting us know about the sound. We got a technical difficulty and we're working on it now.
I think like going back to these signs and whatnot, I know like in my parishes and whatnot, we used to have parish linksmen who used to go around and just clean the signs once or twice a year.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all it takes, a little bit of soap and water in a bucket, and it was as simple as that, really.
Yeah, but people don't want to do it. Do
I
they?
know exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
This is
no,
it.
I mean,
No.
it's like the weeds
But then why
outside
should
their
they
gardens.
do it? You know, why
Not
should
their
they?
responsibility.
Because they put themselves in danger off on the road doing signs.
Yeah.
So it's not them to do it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you think for a sign to be cleaned, cones have to go out.
So let's
fluorescence, the lot.
talk about the next subject, shall we?
Okay,
All right.
sounds great.
Reality of Devon's finances. Tony, this because you're on the scrutiny committee.
I am on the scrutiny committee, yes.
So this is one of our bugbears. So just before we start the conversation, let's look at this. If reform ever take over Devon County Council, it will be handed a massive deficit. Tony, go for it.
Right, so last year, you'll be surprised to know last year, Devon County Council owed approximately £517 million. So to give you an example, that's £69.8 thousand a day in interest. Or if you want to go weekly, you're looking at 490,000, 2.1 million a month. So it all equates to 25.5 million a year. That's interest only. So that money's got to be paid before anything else is paid out. And we cannot pay that money back on a loan because unfortunately somebody didn't read the small print back in about 2009 and they signed that loan over. So it cannot be repaid. I think it's going to be repaid in 2059. So I actually sat on a meeting and I asked them how they're going to repay it. And they just quite simply said, we're going to take another loan out. Now, the problem is you can take out as many loans as you want, but by 27, 28, we will not be able to take any more money out. So what happens then? Do we start selling loads and loads of our assets, which we've got quite a lot of? But once they're sold, they're sold. But the question is, at what point, we're trying to say at what point are they going to stop spending money and they're going to start saving money? Because it can't go on.
Well, the money from those assets, Tony, doesn't actually go back. It's not ring fenced for DCC anyways, is it? It goes back to the government.
No. And to be honest, some of the things that they want to sell, you think, why?
But let's go into it. So what you're trying to say to me is we owe all this money, we're paying all this interest, and we never compared off to a certain date, so we have to pay the interest. That's what you're saying.
Yep.
Right. The question I asked: who lent the money in the first place?
Well, I think it was the Conservatives.
Who's lent us the money?
It was the Conservatives, I think.
No, but who? No, it can't be the Conservatives.
Well, the money itself.
Got to come from somewhere.
A majority of this money comes from a subsidiary of the government, who lend to all the councils, all the county councils. They lend the money, and then quite simply, you pay them interest on that money.
I don't know much about this. So what you're trying to say is, we go and borrow money off some branch of the government, which is technically taxes money, our money.
Yeah.
So then they lend it to the council, and if I'm incorrect, please correct me, anybody. They lend it to the council, then they charge all this interest for lending our own money.
Yeah. And then what happens is every
year...
year...
Am I right or wrong?
I can add to that a little bit. But I think what's going on here is the councils are borrowing money from the government because the government can buy it at what's called the gilt rate, and the gilt rate is supposedly cheap as chips because basically it's underwritten by the entire UK government, and therefore the UK government can go out to, Chinese investors, private investors, and it's safe. And for example, all the most pension funds have to make sure that their money is absolutely super safe, and so part of their investments often are governmental organizations. Because they know that the government's going to pay them back. So that's, I think, the reason why the councils go back to the government, because if the councils had to borrow money on their own they'd have to pay a lot higher interest because people would say, who the flip is Devon County Council?
Yeah, but all right, you say a lot more interest, but you're in a fix where you can't pay any off.
You can't pay any off without being penalised.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is,
this is your next problem.
There are all sorts of vehicles to borrowing money. If you're a governmental organization, you can float a 10-year bond. Say, okay, I'm not going to pay it back until 10 years, or you could have a 30-day bond or an overnight. So.
But this is a 50-year.
It all depends upon what the council and the government has signed up
from
to.
what I can see here, this is a 50-year one, of which you can't pay it back.
Well, I'm going to put my penny's worth in now. Right, I've never been into politics before. I do run businesses. And I've earned. I work hard and I earn money. But I was taught by my family: if you don't have the money, you can't spend the money. So I will question this: why are we all in such a mess in this country? That's the question. Why are we in such a mess? Because do you think it's going to get better by lending, Tony? Devon County Council are going to lend how much more this year?
That's a very good... the money they're going to lend is on send.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're going to lend
it doesn't matter, but the point
so how
being...
much more money are they going to lend?
Another 50 million on that. The other bit you can't answer, can you?
No, but so you're never going to go positive. You're never going to pay anything off because you're not allowed. So for the next so many years, we're just going to be paying interest and we're going to lend more money, Nat.
Well, we just head into a bankrupt.
Well,
why don't we just hand?
I think that's
why don't we just hand Devon County Council over to people who know what they're doing? And I'm not talking about us. I'm on about people who know how to deal with money properly. Because you were saying just now what?
Oh, what they're spending out on advice on how to save money.
Yeah.
Well, that might be good money, though. That might be good advice because right now...
But it's like, a lot of money, Neil.
It's like consultations, isn't it? I mean, they cost money.
Unless you should have people able to, the whole idea of having county councillors is that they know what they're about. And
I think one of the things too is trying to relay the message.
You can't just keep giving people what they want all the time. We've got we got to draw a line somewhere and go right.
But that's going to
okay.
upset a lot of people then,
Well, yeah,
because
it will,
I always
but-
think there's a lot of people on the gravy train as well. Yeah, go on, Rob.
Yeah. Well, speaking about the gravy train, maybe just touch on this, but one of our listeners said, got a question here. Will reform stop the massive money being spent on moving migrants from Exeter to Maidstone, South Wales, Burnley, et cetera, costing thousands? Well, it's way more than thousands, Gary. But I think maybe you can enlighten us on reform policy, but I believe that we will be hopefully cutting back on illegal migrants. We shouldn't be using the term migrants, but they're illegal.
Well, the
we
economic-
should, because, for example, I was a legal immigrant. I think what the focus is on illegal immigrants, right? And it's costing us an absolute fortune. That's one of the reasons why the government's borrowing a heck of a lot of money, right?
Well, it's like anything. We haven't got the money. So all these people who agree with protection, which people have to be protected, but we haven't got the money to provide shelter for our own lot.
Go on, Rob.
And I think, I get a kick out of whenever I hear anything from our lovely local Labour politician, MP. He's so generous to us, isn't he? He's handing out the
Fantastic.
freebies, $1 million for this, £1 million for that. Where's the money? They take the money, and then they give us a couple tuppence back. And most of the money is spent on woke projects like the Energy Center or whatever. In the meanwhile, the weeds are going up. So it's...
I think in an answer to that question from that gentleman, British people should come first. Ultimately, should come
Well,
first.
I mean,
And that's where I stand.
Right,
Anyway.
we got to be careful here, because we've got to keep everybody happy. And reform policies, I think everybody, when you look at reform policies, I think they're quite common sense. Can't say I agree with them all, right? But our policies are there for a reason. It's protect the people of this country, right? If you come into the country properly and you work, got no issues, right? But if you don't come in, you shouldn't be open to all our money, which you haven't earned, right? And there was a big picture you sent last night, right? So the way I would word it is, a lot of people pull a few people along to help them. So if you put them in a cart, you have about 20 people pulling that cart with about 4 people in there because they need help. For whatever reason, people need help. But let's just flip it around. Imagine that cart has got 20 people in it and there's 4 people pulling that cart, right? Just see how the balance works. So more people don't work. Less people who do work has to provide for that cart to pull along. It's going to be seesaw. We ain't got the money.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe an example might be, 30, 40 years ago, in fact, when I was a young man, used to have Rover cars, Rolls Royce,
Rolls-Royce.
British
That went
Airways.
woke, didn't it?
Huh?
That went
Yeah.
woke the other day.
Well, my point is, Britain was one of the great countries in terms of engineering, and it had fantastic companies making oftentimes a lot of money, and those were contributing to the tax base. And now we don't have that. We only have a few companies that.
well, we've
that
sold
are-
most of the big ones off, haven't we? Privatized them.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
where's the
Rolls
money
Royce
gonna-
made a mistake.
Where's the money
didn't
going
they?
to come from if we don't have all those big industrial?
Well,
Well, I
let's
mean,
throw the
they're
question out.
They're selling our electric, Rob, back abroad. Devon's already net zero, I think.
Well, that's an interesting conversation, actually. We're
I
actually,
think that's one we're going to save for.
yeah, we us three are going down to meet a gentleman on this about, Devon is supposed to be net zero. We are producing enough electricity, but there's so much getting wasted.
we are giving it away, chucking
yeah.
it.
But
Selling it.
But anyway, that's another subject, another day. So going back to the money, right? We haven't got the money. We just keep lending.
Yeah.
You guys in Exeter, Devon, you're going to pay your interest on top of your interest, and it just goes along like that.
I think every year too, you see how much cuts have to be done to sort of make the books balance. Right down to the bus services. If you were to take away every bus service that was subsidised in Devon because you want to save money, there'd be hardly anything. going at all. I think you'd be lucky to get to Barnstable.
No, it's an interesting. Somebody wrote on Facebook the other day that I was, what was it? What they were, Reform aren't going to do anything, and Reform are just mouthy and all that. And they all said, I'm very happy in Exeter. It's a brilliant place. It's lovely. Yeah, it is lovely. Right, but just walk down Sybil Street. Walk down there and see the homeless, see the drug abuse. Walk down and see the graffiti, the weeds. All right, that's all Labour. Labour runs this city.
Well,
right, and if
see
you're all
the
happy
shops
as
that
it
have
is, I've had loads of complaints about Marsh Barton, how it's shabby it's looking. Right, and just take a time, walk out your door, walk down or walk up, and just see how shabby this place is. This is a cathedral city. All right, and Reform can't do any worse. I can tell you that. All right.
No, 100%. No.
All right. So I just get fed up when they say, "Oh, you're right, you're far right." No, we're not. All right. I'm British. All right. I'm proud of it.
I think we represent common sense, don't we? I mean, in fact, one of the people that are listening in has commented that in the news a few months ago there was an illegal immigrant who was spent £1,000 on a taxi ride to a GP to get free treatment, of course.
Lucky to have one.
It's horrific.
Wow, I think money saved can be stop sending them all to the dentist.
So,
right. So my dentist actually told me that she dealt with 30 people and they were between £250 and £500 a time, and that wasn't talking about the taxi fares. All right. Oh, what do they call it?
Translators.
That's it. I was about to say that.
You've got Google. You've got Google.
Google Translation.
Translate on your phone, which anybody can use. That's free.
I think it was £165 for half an hour.
They get given brand new phones when they arrive here.
But we're not on about that now.
No,
we're on about trying to save money. So it'd be interesting to find out, Nat, how do we save money? Because it's not about illegal immigrants. It's not about that. That's just a small tip of the iceberg. Are people spending the money wrong? All these green rubbish they're going to spend down, heat source pump, they're going to waste all that money. So, all these people out there who do listen, who are clever, right, how would you save money?
Well, I would bring on the person who likes living in Exeter at the moment and sort of listen to his opinions.
I've invited people on, but all these
the
keyboard warriors
and like I say, put your money where your mouth is, sit there. We're not there to criticise, we'll listen. If you've come up with a fantastic idea, good for you.
Well, let's go back to that, Nat. Behind you, there's no label or signature or signage. And the reason for that is we want anybody to come on board and come on have a chat.
Yeah, just what Neil's saying there is we've got a screen behind Nat. It says Extra Need Change, and that's our logo for this whole podcast, or thrust. But I mean, back to one of your questions, for example, Neil, is again back to the MP. He throws out all this money, really generous. Energy Center, millions, tens of millions. That money should have been kept in Exeter here to perform the core services, not sent to Parliament, Westminster, where he was a councillor for 9 years, right? He was a councillor for 9 years before he was parachuted in last year, or the year before last, for the election. And now he's giving us like tens of millions of pounds of our money, which should have been here in the first place. That's how we save money, at least start saving money, right?
Well, owing to the fact that he thinks there's a problem with the hopefully up-and-coming mayor elections, he seems to be coming down here quite a lot.
Got him rattled.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? We didn't used to see him before.
Subject, aren't we? So
Okay, so let's talk about the impact. For example, send. Can we talk through that a little bit, Neil?
It's a touchy subject, this one.
Well, special educational needs and disabilities. It is a very, very touchy subject, right? But if I'm correct, in this country over the last 10 years, it's doubled. Am I right?
At present,
doubled.
It's doubled. Yeah, it's a nationwide problem as well.
So, are we got more ways of diagnosing or supporting, or we are basically a sick nation? I don't know.
Well, I was talking to my wife. If we take up ADHD, for instance, and my wife was saying, we'll take Exeter, for instance, and the closure of all the units that used to sort of people used to go to, and they could be diagnosed to see whether or not they had it. They would be monitored to see. These units like Matford Lodge, they've all been shut to save money. It has to be because of that. But things like that, you know, badly needed.
Yeah, remember, it's not the children's fault. It's not the family's fault. It's the system that is broken. All right, and I have to emphasise that it's not the children's fault or the families or anything like that. It's the system is broken and it's not functioning and it's not working. All right, it's like it's so much money getting poured in. All right, it can't be sustainable. In the end, something's going to break, and sadly, people who need this, it will affect them.
Well, the money they're spending on the illegal immigrants should be going to support our send children.
I'm going to be a bit neutral on this now, because we always flip it about this and that. But I think the system needs to be overhauled completely.
It needs to be scrutinised.
All right, and I'll
It's
give
a
you
big expenditure for Devon, and it is really pushing us over.
The officers in Devon County Council are lovely, but they cannot say anything which puts their head above the parapet. And going back to school transport, I've already said this, 22.5 million after the lockdown. Now it's 51.7 million, and we could be spending another 50-something thousand over the budget or even more. All right. It's not the kids. And I've always said this. We've got 15,000 children, 3,000 carers getting driven around Devon. All right. That is one feat. It's the taxi drivers, the companies, the bus things are ripping us off.
Well, it's a monopoly, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, it's interesting, actually. And this is a proposal, a motion. We now have excess taxi drivers and taxi firms. So now we should be looking at these contracts. All right. So they don't want to do 10-minute contracts, by the way, i.e. 10 minutes down the road, right? Because they only make 20, 30 quid. So the contract says, even if it's 10 minutes, I'm having 120 quid. Yes, Rob.
Hey, Neil, could you just go back to some fundamentals for me and for many here? I mean, special educational needs and disabilities, that's very important. And it's really, really hits people in the heart, really. But where's the money being spent? You referenced taxi drivers, and I don't really understand.
Well, the system needs to be looked at from start to finish because it is broken. It is. They're saying they're looking at it, but we cannot function. I think adult social care and all that takes 8% of our money. Tony, am I correct?
Children and young people, just over 1.1 billion of our money goes on their care, which it has to be done. It's really important, but in a year's time, we're not going to have that money. So something has to be done.
It's going to be broken very quickly. And this, while we're on the subject, this child cap, where they've lifted it. Am I right?
Yeah.
And I listened to them this morning, and they were saying it will benefit families because it will pull them out of poverty. It will allow them to do jobs, allow them to go and get educated because the most deprived children don't go to school, whatever. Well,
but don't they, isn't that change in policy only affect families that have more than 2 kids? Because before that, they had, without that cap, they were fully funding the families with 2 children, right?
Yeah, not an issue on that. But if I had 8 kids,
why work?
No, it's not a case of why work. Well, you shouldn't have 8 kids if you can't afford to look after 8 kids.
No, that's it. And
I'm sorry.
That is exactly it.
But that's my view. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I had 3 children, and I did struggle, but I supported them, and they've grown up and they're lovely children.
So what would you do to restructure
Sorry, 4
it a
children.
bit?
I've just been corrected. I have 4 children.
What will we do?
Because
I mean, one of the things you should do is reintroduce the cap.
Well,
I don't know about the cap, but I mean, I don't think we should be paying for people to have extra children. That's my view.
Then you reintroduce the cap again, don't you? Back to 2 children.
Oh,
Exactly.
I don't.
When the
And
national
if you-
average is 2 point, I don't know where they come up with the 2
Well,
point whatever.
they've got to find an extra 3 billion a year. All right, and I'm going back to it. We don't have the money.
yeah.
Where's all our money going? That's the question. Where is all our money going? Where's our council tax going? It gets divided up with the police. Well, the only time I speak to the police is when they want to do me for saying something on social media, or they're going to take me to court for allegations of a £167.50p or whatever. That's the only time I get the police involved. All right. Devon County Council, well, where do I get, as a councillor, I've learnt so much. Nat, have you?
Yeah, well, I'm still learning. I mean, there's never really a day goes by where you're not going to learn something. And ultimately, we've stepped into things when it's bad.
Well, it's
It
an
is
eye
bad.
opener, isn't it?
Well, it's a pile of poo, I
And
call it.
This is part of the reason why I wanted to become a county councillor, was to get in there and try and do something good.
Try and create some
And-
change.
Yeah.
And,
But
and
we
highlight
are
the waste.
we are 6-7 months in. We haven't got change yet. We do our little wins. We have our wins. You know, trying to get a house for Mrs. Rowe. That's working. There's a lot of things going on, but big wins is not happening. And what I mean by big wins is we need to be finding money for the weeds. We need to be finding money for the graffiti. We need to get the homeless off the streets. We need to stop the drug abuse. We need to stop these vape shops or whatever. We all know what's going on.
Thing is,
Right.
this is all subjects, Neil, that people would just bury their heads in the sand about initially.
No, if we brought it
Your-
up
your
at Devon, they'd
highlight-
say, "Oh, you're being racist," or
Exactly,
you know,
yeah. But we're highlighting all these issues now, and they're coming to the surface, whereas normally it'd have been ignored. And the trouble is, when you ignore something, it gets worse.
yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nat's got a great point because it starts with raising awareness. For example, the Weedabix box that I have in front of me that you're seeing in the Roundup weed killer spray. Eventually, we've already started to be on the radar of a lot of the opposing politicians, the conservatives that control the Devon County Council and voted to reduce glyphosate. And Labor as well, who controls the Exeter City Council. So it all starts with raising awareness. But I'd like to find out maybe for our next podcast where the send money is going, because I heard, Neil, that the send budget has substantially increased since lockdown.
Yeah, doubled
So,
near enough.
Let's find out a little bit more information about that.
Yeah, we'll
because
bring
maybe
that up
that's an
again,
area.
that subject, because it is a touchy subject, right? And I'm not saying I'm against anything. I just think we got to look at everything, how or where our money is going. You know, personally,
I was saying earlier, though, the first thing.
my personal view, if you want 6-8 kids, I shouldn't be paying taxes to support them 6 to 8 kids. That's my view.
Well, I agree, but I don't. I think we have to be looking at all the aspects. That's one. But again, people just didn't have started having 2 to 8 kids.
But
since lockdown.
When it comes to saving money,
So-
you look at the biggest expenditure first, and then you work your way down. And unfortunately, like I say,
Yep.
there will be no money in a
But
couple
going
of
back to
years'
money,
time.
so the heat source pump, the planning already got passed, even though they said it didn't, because they were building the pipes on the other side of the river, which cost millions of pounds. And then when you dig into it, it's about 16 people who own this company. They're getting millions of pounds of grants off the government in order to do it. And then you got extra, there's money flying around.
Then you find out Devon's carbon
Right.
neutral anyway.
Right, so then you can't find any money for doing whatever. Then they can find 10 grand to take down a few flags, right? So they can find the money when they want to, all right? But they can't find it when we ask them. I just want to
Well,
really
and they-
scrutinise these books.
And they can't find money for salt and grit bins to keep people safe.
Yeah, and also
know.
while you're on the subject, sorry, Nat, there's somebody doing a soak on Devon County Council, not so Exeter City Council, on all their expenditure they spent the last year. He's a spotter, so we're waiting for him to come back. Sorry about that. Nat.
No, that's fine. That's just a point.
I'll shut up.
No, it's fine. I mean, going back to the interest that Devon pays, where does that go? That would be,
Yeah, so where's
it goes
all
back
this
to
interest?
government
where does all the interest go? What's that being spent on?
and all the equity firms and that.
Are they privately, are they, Tom?
Well, all I can say, I mean, I've looked into it as much as you say, but all I know is central government, a subsidiary of them, they lend all the councils, the county councils, money.
How much is it per day interest?
Oh God, do you want to go back to that? I don't.
You
really
said
wanna-
25 million
about
a year.
70
didn't you?
69.8
Yeah,
thousand pound.
yeah.
So
A
60
day
69,000.
interest.
There you go. Look,
What
a
could
day.
you do? Could you help the people on the streets with £69,000?
I could have a holiday, but that's beside the point.
I think you
Uh,
could. Could you help
yeah.
the people with
Well,
drug
you
problems?
could, you see, and then
Yes.
you put it over a month, 2.1 million. You could do a lot with that. You could, in actual fact, if I quickly say for 2.1 million, you could open up the toilets in Exeter, look, because apparently, again, I was informed by somebody on the council. Thanks, Phil, for telling me. 180,000. That's all it's going to cost to keep those toilets running every year.
While you're on that subject, Rob, Marks and Spencer's are now closing their cafeteria. This is in Alphington Road. They're closing the cafeteria and closing the toilets. All right?
No, I didn't know that. Why is that?
Because
Yeah,
I've got good source. Thank you, Adrian, for telling me. So they are closing that because they make more money selling food in that area. And that's another lot of toilet gone. Nat?
Well, I've heard Marks and Spencer's got good sauce as well, but
Good what?
I've heard Marks and Sparks has got quite good sauce as well. But no, I'm listening, Neil. I didn't know that, but
So what have you got? The Costa shop over there, which is in what next? Yeah. So out of all that area, okay, you've got the Pyramid. No, what are they called? Riverside, Costa Coffee. All the other toilets are closed down. So if
no, well, remember the ones in
Boots is closed.
are not owned by Exeter City Council.
So Exeter leader said if you can find £163,000 a year, we'll open all the toilets up.
180,000. Yeah, you get that. So if anyone's got a checkbook they want to open up,
Yeah,
we'll get our toilets back.
I just think it's go on, Rob. Sorry.
Okay. Well, there's one of our listeners raising a great point. In fact, I think you should hire him probably, Neil, okay? Because maybe he's looking at saving money from a bit different angle, actually increasing revenue. And one way you can increase revenue is by families having more children, that eventually they will start working and delivering taxes to the tax base. So we should encouraging families, because basically there's a study on this, but you have to have 2.2 children in order to keep the society going. And basically our Pete's saying that quite rightly the society is receding. So every year we're having less population, and therefore the government's not getting as much revenue every year because of that. And that's one of the reasons maybe why they want some immigrants coming to the country.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Got a great point.
No, I understand. The workforce is getting smaller, and they have to look at the future, because we're just like worker ants. We're there to keep people. We're there to keep the country flowing. So they need as many people to work as possible.
Well, the ideal situation.
Yeah, but just look at it. It ain't happening, because more people are going on the dole. More people are claiming PIP. More people are sick.
businesses are failing. Businesses can't afford to have staff.
Well, it's not just they're going to change the rules soon in line with EU. I mean, who wants to employ somebody young when they can go sick? But so
okay,
Rob,
so,
I agree what you're saying, but I disagree.
Why do you disagree? You can't disagree. It's
because the system is broken. So you could have more children, right? You don't go to work. And I'll tell you what, I had them 2 weeks off. I can see why people don't want to work. I had a brilliant time at home. All right, but I got bills to pay.
Neil, basically, there's studies that say, well, you can just think of it logically as, let's say nobody had any children. Nobody had any children. No more children, okay? It's what's happening in China, actually. Their economy's a wreck. They had one-child policy. Nobody's having any children. So another 20 years from now, there won't be one single graduate from university. There won't be one single 18-year-old to do any work. Tony, you can never retire, sir, okay? Because there won't be any people to do any work. And as a result, the tax base goes down and down and down.
But it's not a guarantee that all them people who are born are going to work, because the system is too easy to milk.
Yes, well, you have to have a society that encourages.
If you have an easy system, right, and you have more children, right, do you think they're going to jump in and work and they'll bare hands like I do?
That's more school places on schools we don't have.
Well, they're going to learn how to fill the forms in by their parents that aren't working.
Yeah,
now.
And you've got to remember, if you have 3 or 4 children,
no, I agree with what you're saying.
More
Rob.
houses.
Totally agree with what you're saying. But the system needs overhauling. So if you're going to have 8 kids, can you guarantee me all them 8 kids are going to put back in society? Brilliant. I hope they do. Okay, but you can't guarantee it.
Again, the fundamental thing is, if there are no children, it'll be just like China. And believe me, their economy is a wreck. We wouldn't have anybody left. In fact, we wouldn't have anybody left in the country in in a generation.
Well, you will. You have all the foreigners coming in and taking our place, so we're okay.
No, reform's going to stop that. There
Right,
won't be
then,
any.
all right,
There won't
you're
be
gonna
any
have children. You need
grown-ups.
encouragement, right? You need.
Yes.
You can't be taxed. We're the most taxed now. The most
I agree.
energy. All right.
Totally agree. We
What's-
need a society that encourages risk taking, encourages starting a business, just like yours, Neil and Nat.
There's
right?
thousands of people leaving this country, taking their knowledge
So-
and their skills away.
What's wrong with working to support your family? Why have you got to have it handed out to you on a plate? And it doesn't create the right way for people to learn how to work. If you're giving stuff away, they're never going to want to work, are they?
No. I mean, if you're claiming something, you know, these
I mean-
guys clearing the weeds, get them out.
That's another one of our big expenditures, the welfare budget. You
Okay,
know?
guys. So let
Yeah,
me,
no, we
let's-
could
let's
get tied
move on
down
here,
rabbit
okay?
holes
Yeah.
here.
I think what you're trying to say is that Exeter needs change, right?
Says so over there, Rob.
Exeter needs change, and we've got to be mindful that some people want to change Exeter by recarving out the representation, and let's talk about that. You guys are the experts, not me.
Okay, democracy matters. So I've heard both sides of the argument. So they should be polling in May, and it's up to the local council to decide whether to go to elections. Now, their argument is, why waste money and while we're doing an LGR, local government reorganisation, which is happening in 2027. All right, it's not been proven that it works. Right, they're doing the two-tier, getting rid of the system. They're going to get rid of little councillors. It's more control for Labour. I know people say it is. Labour's idea, all this is, you know, if you take away democracy, right, which we have a right to do, right, you're going down to like dictatorship in my eyes, right? If you delay it, you're going down the wrong route, right? We should be doing elections, and I'm asking Exeter City Council, Plymouth are doing it, right? I only see what I've seen on the news. 22 councils are considering not to have them. 22 where reform, okay, are in good key positions. All right?
10 million people, I think, in all across the country. 10 million people they're going to take away the right to vote.
And not including last year.
It's a dictatorship at its best.
Well, they're afraid to lose. They're afraid
So
to lose
basically,
seats.
you're having the Labour-controlled Exeter City Council dictate whether or not there are going to be elections. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, so on the 13th of this month, there's a meeting in Exeter City Council, and they will decide whether they have.
Are we allowed to actually attend that meeting? or
No,
not?
I don't know. I'm not interested in any way because the election it either goes.
My great friend and do something here.
Thought we got away with that one.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to briefly talk about the flags. All right,
You might have fallen asleep.
we are going to try and get some people on who have been putting the flags up to come onto the pod. Right, the invitation. Hopefully they will accept. Right, we are neutral at it at this moment of time, and then we'll try and get somebody who's against the flags. All right, so as for example, when we did Dryden Road, we brought in Ian Frankham, and then we brought in Exeter Cycling. All right, so we're trying to be very neutral. It's a very touchy subject right now. You know, the flags are flying, raise the colours. All right, you know, let's leave it at that. But that's one of our look forward to in the next few weeks to bring these guys on.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe add to that, Neil, if I could, please. I think one thing that you have to be, at least I'm mindful of, is, see, I'm a foreigner, okay? You guys are indigenous, I guess, right? But if you guys came to America, I hope you wouldn't tell me to take my American flag down, would you? But maybe just leave that, just plant that seed and let it water that, as you say, Neil, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's.
I
Some
love
people
the
call it a
flags always.
protest. Some people call it patriotic. Some people call it racist. To me, I don't really care because when I see all the flags down there, it looks really.
Well, it brings a smile to your face. doesn't
Well,
it?
I spoke to a lady, well, about 10 people the other day, and like I said last time, they said, you know, it's nice to see one of the gateways to Exeter, look up instead of down. You don't have to see the weeds, but you can see the flags, and it does put a bit of cheer. And if we don't like the flags, as in on every lamppost, yeah, I can understand people's views, but we should be flying our flags in proper locations with proper flagpoles, and I just think we should be proud to be.
It's an expression of identity, and we do not want to lose our identity in Great Britain.
But as I said, we're going to stay neutral. We're going to try and bring two different people's thoughts onto this show in order to get their views on it.
Yeah, it would be really wonderful to see the British flag flying from the Devon County Council building. I mean, just about every public building in America has an American flag flying, and
they fly quite a variety of flags, don't they?
Yeah, well, it's the United States of America, and that's.
No, I meant
so
Devon County Council.
What I was sort of saying is that it's a conglomeration of states. So every state has their own state flag, and then within each state, you might have a hillbilly that has a flag, and a city investment banker that has a flag. Everybody flies flags. Everybody's proud of a flag. But and I think that would be a great thing in this country. Fly them proudly and fly them in appropriate places would be great.
I think with the storm coming, there'll be quite a few flags flying around.
I better take mine down today.
Yeah. I think you'll find
the pole bends.
There'll be quite a few there.
The pole bends at 50-mile-an-hour winds, so
Yeah, be careful, everyone, today,
I've kept it safe. It's going back up tomorrow, though.
The weather warning's been issued.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up here, I think, guys. Is that okay? I think we've got a great discussion, and let's see. We've talked about helping those in need, the community. We talked about local action, I think, Tony, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of accountability. There's some tremendous debt that the councils are running, and please, guys, Steve, stop taking our money and let's have it kept in extra here, okay? And stop being so generous to us, giving us a flippin' energy plant that nobody wants. We'd rather have the
this
weeds,
is the
right?
thing. Quickly, we're getting a carbon neutral energy plant, but Devon's already carbon neutral, so why do we want one?
Yes, well, that's
we're letting our electricity, like water, we're pouring it away because we're getting too much of it.
And Neil, over to you, Nat, in a second.
Yeah, sorry, just a quick one before we go.
Yep.
Just to reiterate, check in on your neighbours. Show them that you care. If you can help for 5-10 minutes, whatever, even if it's a minute, just giving them the olive branch to check they're all right. Would go a massive long way this year. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but for the rest of the year, you might change somebody's life.
That's great. And a little bit of a shout out to those who are watching. If you don't mind, I'll just first names. Okay, Pete, Gary, John, Tina, Tracy, Georgina, Gary again. Thank you, Gary. Awesome.
All the Garys.
And Jess. Thank you, Jess. Another Tina. In fact, there are two Tinas. Okay, Tony. There's a Deanna.
You're looking at me for?
We've got a lot of people on it. We really appreciate it. So if you have any comments or suggestions on the future show next week about who to host and who not to host.
Yeah, I find I will say one of the most frustrating things about doing the pods are we have to sit on the fence, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've ripped a couple pairs of
Well,
trousers
things
already.
might change in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there are times,
we're trying to be
obviously,
politically correct all the time. But remember what the main thing for tonight or these shows is, or whatever these podcasts is, to relay to everybody around our areas what's going on. So that's our main aim. We jump out the box sometimes just because it does affect everybody, but really appreciate it if you can share this. Right, would love feedback, less slides, less applauses. You tell us what you want. We're going to adapt. This year is to make it a bit more slicker, right? And go from
and
there.
Rob's got new sounds
So
as
Rob,
well.
I'll leave it to you. Thank you for hosting us tonight, and thank you for doing the hard work in the background.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, for joining us tonight. I'm talking about the audience, okay, not your politicians.
Yeah.
And thank you, three of you, for this great present I got, the Roundup, and I'm going to be spraying the weeds every weekend. Neil, Tony, and Nat and I are going to be out doing some weed projects. Can't wait. And we'll be seeing you all next week. Same time, same station, right, Neil?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching.
Didn't.